Manipulation has always been a superpower for evil people, because it is the easiest and most effective way to control people. With this, you don't have to torture, punish, or even pay people to do what you want. Just a combination of words will do it for you. But why should you learn it? And is it hard to learn? No, it is not hard to learn. You can learn it very easily. See, in my opinion, everyone in this world should be learning manipulation nowadays, because manipulation is not evil. Evil people use it for evil things. But learning it makes your life easier. You will be able to get what you want without defending your targets. Your power of influencing others will also increase, and your magic spell will work on men and women equally. There is also a saying, either you learn to manipulate or be manipulated by others. The choice is yours. The things I am going to teach you are not for me, but I have tested them and they worked like magic every time. These 3 steps are from Robert Greene's book, and if you know Robert Greene,
people will do what you want without ever even realizing.
Then I don't have to tell you why this video is going to change your life. Confirm their self-opinion. First, Robert Greene explains how simple it is to make other people do what you want, just simply by confirming their self-opinion. But he also gave you 3 things to play with here: autonomy, intelligence, and goodness. To give you a better understanding of autonomy, Robert tells a story from the novel Tom Sawyer. The 12-year-old boy named Tom was extremely savvy, raised by his aunt, with uncanny sensitive to human nature. Despite his cleverness, Tom is always getting into trouble. The second chapter of the book begins with Tom being punished for getting into a fight. Tom has to whitewash the very large fence in the front of his house. As he starts doing the job, his friend Ben Roger walks by eating a delicious-looking apple. Ben was very curious to know what Tom is doing. Ben asked him, "Are you going for a swim this afternoon?" Tom pretends to feign deep interest in his work. Now Ben is curious. He asks Tom if he is seriously more interested in painting the fence than having some fun. Tom finally addresses him, while still keeping an eye on his work. His aunt would not give such a job to just anyone. He says, "It is what people see first of their home when they pass by. This is a very important job that wouldn't come up again for many years. In the past, he and his friends painted something on the fences and got into trouble. Now he can do so freely. It is a challenge, a test of skill. And yes, he enjoys it. Swimming can be done any old weekend, but not this." Then Ben asks if he can try his hand to see what Tom means. After several pleases, Tom finally relents, only after Ben offers him his apple. Soon other boys approach and Tom does the same job on them, accumulating more pieces of fruit and toys. An hour later, we see Tom lying in the shade while a whole team of friends finishing the job for him. You should take notes of what Tom did here. He used psychology to get what he wanted. First, he showed deep interest in the work, not by saying anything but through his body language, that the task he is doing is very interesting. Second, he framed the job as a test of skill and intelligence, a rare opportunity, something that would appeal to any competitive boy. And third, he knew, once the neighborhood boys are at the task, others would want to join in, making it a group activity. Nobody wanted to be left out. Yes, Tom could have pleased dozens of friends to help him and gotten nowhere. Instead, he framed it in such a way that they wanted to do the work. They came to him, begging for the job. Your attempt at influencing must always follow a similar logic. How can you get others to perceive the favor you want to ask for as something they already desire? I want you to write it down. Framing the thing as something pleasurable, a rare opportunity, and something other people want to do will have a magic effect. But this is not it. Another variation of this is where you target people's competitive instincts. To explain this, Robert tells you a real story of director Billy Wilder and beautiful actress Marlene Dietrich. In 1948, the director Billy Wilder was casting for his new film, A Foreign Affair. In this film, one of the main characters was a woman named Erika von Schlutow, a German cabaret singer with suspicious ties to various Nazis during the war. Wilder knew that Marlene Dietrich would be the perfect actress to play the part. But the problem was that Dietrich had publicly expressed her intense dislike of anything having to do with the Nazis. When he first approached her with the role, she found it too distasteful and ended the discussion. Wilder did not protest or plead with her. Instead, he had a plan. He told her he had found 2 perfect American actresses to play the part, but he wanted her opinion on which would be better. Feeling bad for saying no to her old friend Wilder, Dietrich agreed to review. But Wilder was already tested 2 well-known actresses whom he knew would be terrible for the role. The ploy worked like a charm. The competitive Dietrich was not happy at their performances and immediately agreed to do it herself. Now, the moral of the story is use people's competitive instincts to make them do what you want. Think about ways how you can use your target's competitiveness for your benefits. But lastly, in autonomy, Robert also tells you what kind of gifts you should give to others to win them over. When giving people gifts or rewards to winning them over, it is always best to give smaller gifts or rewards than larger ones. Large gifts make it too obvious that you are trying to buy their loyalty, which will offend people's independence. At first, they might accept large gifts, but later they will feel resentful or suspicious. But smaller gifts have a better effect. People can tell themselves they deserve it and are not being bought. In fact, smaller rewards spread out over time will bind people to you in a much greater way than anything lavish. Now I want your full attention, because now I'm going to tell you how to play with other people's intelligence. The 19th century British Prime Minister quoted a clever ploy when he wrote, "If you wish to win a man's heart, allow him to confuse you." And there is a very easy way to do this. You can do this by disagreeing with a target about a subject, then slowly come to see their point of view. In this way, you're not only their confirming intelligence, but also their own powers of influence. They will feel superior to you, which is what you want. Now they are doubly vulnerable to a countermove of your own. Imagine yourself sitting with your friend or your target, and you already know that your target thinks Messi is better than Ronaldo. To play with their intelligence, here's what you're going to do. You're going to start a conversation about football. Then, after some talking, you're going to say that, I think Ronaldo is better than Messi. Then, like every other Messi fan, your target starts telling you about how Messi is better than Ronaldo, how his game is better, and so on. At this point, you are also going to argue with your target how Ronaldo is better. Because if you agree with your target in a few minutes, then he might get suspicious about you. That's why you're going to take some time, and slowly you are going to show your target that you are understanding his point about how Messi is better than Ronaldo. But that's not all. Robert Greene also gave another way to create a similar effect by asking target for advice. This reflects that you respect their wisdom and experience. In 1782, the French playwright Pierre-Augustin Caron de Beaumarchais put the finishing touches on his great masterpiece, The Marriage of Figaro. The approval of King Louis XVI was required, but when he read the manuscript, he was furious. Such a play would lead to a revolution, he said. This man mocks everything that must be respected in the government. After much pressure, he agreed to have it privately performed in a theater at Versailles. The aristocratic audience loved it. The king allowed more performances, but he directed his censors to get their hands on the script and alter its worst passages before it was presented to the public. But to bypass this, Beaumarchais commissioned a tribunal of academics, intellectuals, courtiers, and government ministers to go over the play with him. There was a man who attended the meeting wrote, Beaumarchais announced that he would submit every cut and change that the gentlemen and ladies present might. Everyone wanted to add something of their own. De Bertoul suggested a witticism. Beaumarchais accepted it and thanked him. It will save the fourth act. Madame Matignon contributed the color of the little pages ribbon. The color was adopted and became fashionable. Beaumarchais was a very clever man. By allowing others to make even the smallest changes to his masterpiece, he greatly flattered their egos and their intelligence. But of course on the larger changes later requested by Louis' censors. But Beaumarchais did not relent. Because he had won over the members of his own tribunal, and they stridently defended him, and because of that Louis had to back down. Lowering people's defenses in this way, on matters that are not so important, you will have great influencing power over your targets, and you will also be able to use them for your big plans and things. Because when you disagree with another person, you are telling that you know better, that you have thought things more rationally. People not change that way. Instead, they get even more attached to their opinions. But you can prevent this by being more neutral, as if the idea you're talking about could be wrong. Because winning arguments is rarely worth the effort, but with their intelligence flattered, you have some room to gently alter their opinion or lower their defenses. But now lastly and most importantly, learn how to play with others' goodness. In our daily thoughts, we constantly think ourselves as good and moral. Like if we are employees of a company, we see ourselves as good team members. If we are bosses, we treat people well, or at least we pay and support them well. We always help the right causes. But in general, we do not like to see ourselves as selfish and narrowly focused on our own agenda. But most importantly, we want others to see us in this light. Look at social media, how everybody seems to be supporting the best causes. But few people give charities anonymously. They want their names loudly advertised. That's why you should never cast doubts on their saintly self-opinion. But why am I telling you this? Because you can use this trait of people to frame what you are asking them to do it as a part of a larger cause. Like they are not merely buying clothes, but helping the environment or keeping locals' jobs. In that way, people can feel better about themselves. Make what you want popular. Make people want to join the group. Instead, you pleasing them to come, but also pay great attention to the words and labels you use. It is better to call someone a team member than an employee. You can make a mistake or offend others, to make them feel superior to you. Because when you apologize, you are acknowledging their higher moral standing. This makes them more open to your ideas or requests. Because everyone loves to teach their inferiors. Now this is very important, I think you should write it down. Finally, if you need a favor from people, do not remind them of what you have done for them in the past. Instead, remind them of the good things they have done for you in the past. This will help confirm their self-opinion. Yes, they are generous. And you once reminded, they will want to live up to this image and do yet another good deed. A similar effect can come from suddenly forgiving your enemies and forging a rapprochement. The emotional turmoil this creates, they will feel obligated to live up to the high opinion you have now shown them and will be extra motivated to prove themselves worthy. But confirming your target's self-opinion was just the first step. If you want to master manipulation, then you have to learn the other two steps. That's why click on this video to learn them.